mosquito. So it is showing the life cycle of a mosquito. So this is a life cycle of a mosquito. So this is how a mosquito. Stage 1 here, eggs in water. So these are eggs. Have you seen? These are what? These are eggs. These are eggs. Eggs develop into larva. So they develop into larva. Larva. They become what? These are pupa now in water. They become big, like some kind. They develop some strength. Then finally it develops into an adult. This is now a mosquito. Have you seen? So this is the life cycle of a mosquito. This is how a mosquito gets to move. So I forgot something on question number 2. That one was under enzymes, which means that also a question on enzymes come. Make sure you revise through enzyme. And this one is under the life cycle of a mosquito. So the life cycle of a mosquito, we've got a life cycle of an house fly. So you need to make sure that you study on those areas. So study on those areas, understand them so that you don't fail any question that can come in your exams. Okay, so this is the question. The question 1 is saying, identify 2 stages in figure 3.0 which are most suitable for eradicating malaria. So what stages here are we supposed to cancel out so that malaria is not invaded? So what are some of the ways here? What are some of the stages, the stages that we are supposed to cancel out, the stages that we need to avoid? So what are some of the stages? So when you look at the eggs, these are the eggs. Have you seen? These are the eggs. Eggs develop into what? Eggs develop into this larva. So the larva here, these are supposed to be cancelled. You need to make sure that the stage 2 here is suitable for what? Eradicating malaria. 2. This one, stage 2. Then you know that stage 2 also stage what? Stage 3. Stage 3. Because once these steps are cancelled, you discover that we cannot have a mosquito because we are going to make sure that these 2 are affected. Once these 2 are affected, we cannot have that one. Have you seen? So even when eggs are being laid in water, when they reach this stage, we use some chemicals to kill these. Even there, these 2 are going to be cancelled. We cannot have malaria. Then we go to this other question. It's saying, for each stage identified in this, So for each stage identified in this, we've got stage 2 and stage 3. State how malaria may be eradicated. So how can malaria be eradicated? So how can we eradicate malaria? How? In which way can we eradicate? So this one here, have you seen this part here? This is the larva. So how can we avoid that? How can we avoid that? So here we need to use what? So I'm going to say use of all. I'm going to say use of what? Use of all. This is what we need to do. Use of what? Use of all. Then here, 3 here. What are we supposed to use here? So we need to use biological control using fish. This is a term that we get to use. So we use what? Biological. We use biological. So I'll say biological control. Biological control using fish. Have you seen like this? This is what we need to do. So here, you know that where there is fish, you discover that we are going to have a lot of mosquitoes that are going to cause malaria. So we need to make sure that those areas are put into consideration if we want to eradicate malaria. So this is what we need to do. we go to this other question. So now it is saying, suggest 2 ways in which malaria can be controlled in the community. How can you control the malaria in the community? This question is very simple. Everyone can answer it. I believe we are able to answer this question. No one can fail this question. You can even use your common sense on this question. How can you make sure that there is no malaria in your area? How can you make sure? This one is very simple. We are going to do it. You can answer this one. So the first one is by what? Cutting grass. So by doing what? Cutting. This is very simple. Cutting what? Cutting grass. Like this. Cutting grass short. So that's why if you check during the rain season, when we've got tall grass like that, then we are going to have, that's where we get to have people experiencing malaria so much. So we need to make sure that the grass is cut. We need to make sure that the grass is cut. Then the other reason or the other way which we all know and we all practice is by sleeping under a treated mosquito net. This one we all know it. So by what? By sleeping under a treated. So sleeping under a treated mosquito. Treated under a treated mosquito net. Not just sleeping on any mosquito net. Have you seen the keyword here? Treated what? Treated mosquito net. Sleeping under a treated mosquito net. By so doing, you are going to control malaria in your community. Malaria will be controlled in your community. Then we move to this other question here, B, which is saying, what term is given to the mosquito based on its law in the transmission of the malaria pathogen? Have you seen what name is given to the mosquito based? So to the mosquito based on its law in the transmission of malaria, which means a mosquito doesn't give malaria, but mosquitoes transmit malaria. Malaria what? Malaria pathogens. So what do we call that? So on its law in the transmission of malaria pathogens, so that one is called a biological vector. So it is a what? It is a biological vector. We call it as a biological vector. This is what you need to do. This is a what? A biological vector. This is a biological vector. Then we've got this other one also. This question now, they are telling us define a pathogen. What is a pathogen? So these ones we know them. These are very simple. A pathogen. What is a pathogen? A pathogen is a disease-causing organism. So a pathogen is a what? This is just a disease. A disease, you say this is a disease. So I'm going to say this is a disease causing. This is a disease causing organism. So it causes what? It causes diseases. What is a disease? A disease is anything that makes you not to feel well. So a disease, this is a disorder that affects the normal functioning of the body. So that is a pathogen. A pathogen is a disease-causing organism. This is just what you need to know. Then this other question, this paper was quite interesting. It was saying the other one, name the malaria-causing pathogen. So we are just dealing with things that we get to interact with in our daily life. Name the malaria-causing pathogen. So a malaria-causing pathogen is a what? Plasmodium. So you need to know that it is a what? It is a plasmodium. This is what you need to do. It is a what? A plasmodium. Like this, you are done. So each time you get to see topics like this in an exam, things that you know, things that you experience in your daily life, you need to make sure that you answer everything, because these are things that you get to interact with in your daily life. So you are just applying them. Even if you did not study, you are able to answer these.